Welcome to the Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by PlayPicks and thelines.com. I'm your host, Nate Weitzer, flying solo with Midwest Mo here, who's filling in for Josh Schlander, still out there in Hawaii on his honeymoon. But we are going to bring you every single conference finals game for as long as these last. Right now we have on Tuesday night the game 4 between the Warriors and Mavs. Mavs falling into a 3-0 hole. We'll see if they can climb out of it. Please do like and subscribe to the page as we will continue to bring you every game breakdown through the NBA Finals, though, along with player props picks, which we will have in this video. Check out all the written content on PlayPicks and thelines.com, where Mo is our head writer. And we do have that baseball podcast up, as well as plenty of content up about that. As well, if you do need a FanDuel or DraftKings account, head to ftpicks.com or dkpicks.com. Find those listings in your local area. And for game 4, the Mavs -1 or slightly under even money on the money line, and that total at 215.5. I think, there's a natural tendency for most teams to let up a little bit in this spot after the Warriors, took that commanding lead. And the Warriors have certainly shown a trend of letting up in these road games when they can close out at home. Instead, they lost at Denver, then closed at home. They got crushed in Memphis, lost and then won at home. And they've been on a pretty good run since over their last 4 games, with Andrew Wiggins really being the key there with a 120 offensive rating, scoring 20 points per game, shooting 44% from deep. In those last 4 games, they've beaten the Mavs in a variety of ways here, blowing them out, coming back in game 2, and then winning a close one. You showing their experience, which is just so superior to this young Mavs team. But that all being said, I think we both like Dallas here. Like I'm saying, they avoid the sweep. They're at home. Last game was such an outlier in terms of how their role players performed, with Reggie Bullock and Kleba going 0 for 15 from the field. The shot quality that the Mavs are getting is very good, so it's not as if the Warriors were doing something to force them into that horrible shooting. They just missed a lot of shots. And the Dubs, if you look at the entire playoffs, they allow 5 percentage points higher from 3 on the road versus at home. They allow opponents to shoot 38% from deep. The Mavs are shooting the highest percentage of their shots from 3 in these playoffs, 51%. And they're much better at home. Role players, as we know, shoot better at home. Luka, it has figured out Andrew Wiggins' defense. Anyone saying he's shutting him down would be woefully inaccurate. He's getting 41 points per game and 50% shooting the last 2 games. And he's finding his guys. His assists will go up as they start to hit more here. And I mean, I'm also looking at the under trend with Dallas at home in these playoffs. They've played at a pace of just 90. They are 6-1 to the under in these home playoff games. They're only allowing 95.7 points per game, holding opponents to 32% from deep. So, I mean, you can look at the under for the game. I think maybe the best bet might be the Warriors to go under 54 in the first half, or the Mavs to be leading in the first half, depending what you get there in terms of odds. We talk about it all the time. When a team goes down 2-0 and comes home, they're going to come out very strong, at least in that first half. And the Warriors, if they win this game, it's probably going to be another situation where they just use their championship medal and experience to be clutch down the stretch, to come back in some way. I think Dallas comes out and throws the first punch here, is leading at the half, and probably doing a much better job defensively to keep the Warriors around 50 points or less.
Yeah, I think I would agree with you about that. This is just a spot where good teams historically don't lose. Like, when I'm looking at this line, and I do think the Warriors are a few points better than the Mavs, and I'm looking at this line, and I think Golden State -1 makes more sense generally. But just in this spot, like I said, it's just not a spot where good teams ever lose. And we all know there's a human tendency to let up when you don't need this game. I mean, I'm not saying they're going to play at 60% or 70%, but it's elite pro athletes. And if you go 95%, that's enough to let the other team basically get one over on you most of the time here. So I do expect the Mavs to win. And shot quality, it's crazy. You look at the shot quality scores, the Mavs have won every single game on the shot quality metric. Two of them were very close, basically coin flips. They won by 2. But last game, the shot quality has them as clear-cut winners, 110 to 100. And so that's plus 10, and they actually went minus 9. So pretty massive difference there. And yeah, I think you nailed it when you said the Mavs getting these open threes. They're leaving a ton of points on the table there. Their open three rate was 51% in the last game. That's 3 points higher than the highest number in the league in the regular season. And obviously, like Reggie Bullock and Maxi Kleber, everyone was talking about what they did, and you can't miss it in the box score. 0 of 15 overall, 0 for 12 on threes, and the looks these guys are getting compared to the average NBA three-pointer, these are not tough shots. So we definitely have to expect that to reverse. So yeah, I do like Dallas. It is funny because, like you said, the role players do historically usually play better at home, and they just, I don't know. Whenever I watch Kleber, I don't think he's got like a scorer's mindset where he really wants to pull these, but he looked really confident in the first couple rounds. So he's going to need to get that confidence back and just fire away here because, they're leaving him open, and they're leaving Reggie Bullock open. And I've seen Reggie Bullock make a few plays off the bounce too in these playoffs. Like, he's not as bad as he's playing right now. And then on the other end, the Warriors have really feasted at the rim with the Mavericks kind of going small. So I was actually wondering about the over, but the Warriors are just overperforming their shots, I guess. So maybe that's silly, but yeah, the second game in a row, basically, that Dwight Powell's minutes have been cut all the way. They're pretty much just not playing a center. And usually when you see a team play like that, what ends up happening is what's happening for the Warriors, where they're able to score much easier at the rim. And that just tends to lead to more overs, basically.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the history, and they have gone over in 6 of their previous 8 coming into this series, the Mavs and Warriors, and that's very uncharacteristic for the Mavs to be drawn out into that kind of style. But in the playoffs, like I'm saying, the Mavs pace is just such that it's hard to like an over. I mean, they have a 116 and a half offensive rating at home, but they're only scoring 104 points because of that pace. So I think we could see kind of more of a drag out here, but that would make me like the Mavs as a correlation play, which you talked about a lot. The Grizzlies, the last couple rounds for them, is that when they win at home, it's because they're dictating things defensively, and maybe they'll steal a couple things from Memphis in terms of guarding this Warriors team. As Memphis did a much better job last round. It's not like the Mavs can't beat this team though, because they were 9-2 straight up the last 11 regular season meetings coming into this, 11-3 against the spread the last 14. Like we said, they're getting great looks, and in game 2, those looks were falling. They hit 15 threes. They had 72 points in the first half and then kind of collapsed there. But I mean, not a lot of fast break points anytime the Mavs are playing. So that's a key thing to watch here. It's going to be a lot in the half court, and Luka does like to play slow in that half court. I think he's figured out his pace. Wiggins in game 1 was really speeding him up, getting him to commit a lot of turnovers. But now Luka seems in command of the offense, and his points prop is insane. 35 points. I think you still probably like the over there, but props we do like. We're looking at the role players more. Dorian Finney-Smith, always like taking that guy to hit a couple threes. He's so consistent, and he gets wide open looks because of the attention on Luka. He's hitting 3.5 threes per game and shooting 44% at home in these playoffs. Getting plus money to hit 3, triples tonight. I believe you said plus 400 or 300 to hit 4 at DraftKings. That's some good juice there. And Bullock, who, like you said, I mean, he's a bit more of a versatile scorer. He has a higher usage rate than DFS. So both those guys projected to get 10.5 points. I wouldn't be surprised if they both go over. If there is a more balanced approach from the Mavs here with those role players stepping up, and I think they could run away with this game at some point if all those guys do play up to their potential at home, like we saw in those first 2 rounds. Because if that shot quality is as good as it is, those shots should start to go down.
Yeah, this one I found that I kind of liked on DraftKings. Reggie Bullock to outscore Dorian Finney is minus 115. It's just a pure usage play for me because when it comes to efficiency with these two players, Dorian Finney has been the superior player, not just this year, which there's been a marked difference this year, 120-ish points per 120 possessions, and Bullock's scoring like 114. But, he's just consistently at that number. Like, I don't think he was just lucky or improved this year. And Bullock's kind of been more up and down. He was good last year, but then, more dips in the previous years before that. So it's kind of funny because, okay, Bullock is not as efficient of a scorer. So why do I think he's going to score more points? Well, it's just the Warriors are aware of this. They're much more aggressive on their closeouts against Dorian Finney, and they're much more like letting Bullock kind of have some space and do what he wants. And he's taking those chances. He's not afraid, and he's putting up shots. He has a higher usage rate every game so far. He's out shooting Dorian in terms of volume by a fair amount in a couple of these games, like, taking double-digit shots, which is just not something you think of Reggie Bullock doing, really. But, when he's getting these opportunities, he just, you can't be helped. He's an NBA player, and if the other team is going to leave him open, he's gonna shoot. So I think if that keeps up, he should be favored to outscore Dorian Finney. The juice minus 115 both ways is a little bit unfortunate, but there might be a little wiggle room there to get a little bit of value.
Yeah, and if you do like a choppy game, I think Draymond at 8+ rebounds with the plus money you can get there. I understand he's not boarding up a lot because they're playing so much Kevon Looney and because Draymond's role is primarily to box out and let other guys clean up there. But I think, he's capable of going way over that number with the rebounds if the ball does bounce his way. Also only projected to get 7 points, I think. And it's just kind of that type of series where the Warriors, like you said, are attacking the Mavs small ball lineups, trying to play different guys off the floor, and Draymond being a little more aggressive in these last 4 games, these last 4 wins. I think they've realized they need him to be a threat, at least more like he was in those last runs, and less of a complete facilitator so that the defense can really capitalize on that if he's not going to shoot at all. But in any case, that is all the time we have for you in this one. Hope you enjoy this game 4. Hope we get a little extension to this series and we're not just headed straight to the finals. Either way, we will be back on Wednesday for Game 5 of the Eastern Conference Finals between the Heat and Celtics. Like and subscribe to the page so you don't miss a beat. And until we see you next, happy betting.